Can you hear us? And see us and all the good things? Okay. We right now are waiting on Tony, and I think somebody's gonna try and reach out to him to see if he's gonna be here.
Before we start, Ed, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You invited Mr. Hempstead.
What?
Did you invite Mr. Hempstead to the meeting?
Why is he not able to come to the meeting?
No, he's here. It was just a question that
They don't want me to sit at the table, Ed.
I don't have the power to tell anybody who can sit at the table and who can't. But as far as Mr. Hempstead being there, he was the appointee as the liaison to the planning commission before, and Ron's not available to be there tonight, and he's the only council member there, I kind of think, but I don't know. I can't see it out there in a way. So that's y'all's decision to make.
we have two council members here tonight.
Three.
Do you?
Three. I can't count. She's hiding behind the monitor. We have three council members here tonight. But Mr. Hempstead and I talked, and we came to an amicable agreement.
Can I offer what I know from, from Ron has, he redid the committees.
Yes, I was there.
Okay, and then the PC liaison it's no longer a committee position that we have.
I'm glad you all were here.
I think Ron's letter says that's up to you, Nicole.
It's nothing to do with Mr. Hempstead at all. It's not a position any longer.
Well, it's a public meeting, so even at worst, they can be here.
Absolutely. We weren't saying it couldn't be necessary.
I just said you couldn't sit at the table.
So
You can't sit with us.
Tony's.
I don't understand.
Okay, do we want to
Yes.
just pause the recording until Tony gets here? What do we want to do?
Ed was,
I don't know who's trying to contact Tony.
No, but he was.
okay.
He was at home.
I can pause the recording until he's back.
Okay, thank you.
Meeting,
Sorry, let me pause.
but I did.
Clarify in the bylaws.
What he's saying is
There
that,
should be a set of bylaws in the back of each planning commission member's book, because I asked for them to be there if we ever had issues. There should be a copy. If you look on page 3, conduct of meetings, item B, it clearly tells you it's the number of people that have been appointed that determines it, not the number of people that are created positions.
all right. So
So
that's,
I'm just trying to help. And
I understand.
Yeah.
So what I want to know now is there any reason for us to not proceed with 3 being a quorum?
We're here.
I think
I'm going to say we have a quorum.
Yeah.
And we'll start the meeting now. And looking back to the, I'm going to call it to order. Roll call, we have Teresa Newton. We have, because I can't remember her name, Ryan Baylor here. James Snyder. On Zoom, we have Ed Cubey, but we have 3 members present, 3 members being more than 51% of the 5 that are currently appointed to this council, to this committee. We have a quorum and we will start.
It's 6.
Please,
It's 6. Tony has not resigned.
But Lauren has. We have
Yeah,
two,
but that makes 6 people.
we have 2 empty seats. There was previously
Where
there was-
are you 2 empty seats?
it's Nikki and
it
Ryan.
was in the previous notes. Bear with me just one moment while I pull out the information.
Tony hasn't officially resigned.
Mrs. Wade also resigned and has never been replaced.
Thank you. I could not remember her name. That was taken care of at the January meeting. There was no February meeting held for any other appointments.
One, two, three, four. Tony is five. We have two vacancies. So county ed, county us three, that's five. We are still good. I'm not sure where you got your sixth person from.
I was thinking Tony was the sixth.
Tony is the fifth one. All right,
There are 7 positions authorized by council. I don't mean to interrupt, but there are 7 authorized, but 2 haven't been filled.
here we go. Let's rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Did you have a chance to look over the agenda? Do we want to adopt it? Are there any revisions to the agenda? Any comments? Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda? Second,
Motion seconded.
your roll call vote on this?
You can agree by consensus if you want.
Agree by consensus that the agenda is adopted. Public comments.
Becky McGee.
I'm gonna try to keep track of things, Becky. Get my little timer out. I'm muted too, so.
What is your last name, please?
McGee.
All right. Ms. McGee.
Yes. The last meeting that y'all had, I put it up, I listened to it, looked at it, listened to it. And I was very appalled when your chairman was so ugly and rude to some of the people in this room. In fact, 2 people from the planning commission got up and walked out. I listened to this meeting, I went back, I did it 3 times to really see if I was hearing everything that I was hearing. And I was not pleased at all. I think y'all, as a planning commission, needs to look into this, do some changes. You can't have someone being ugly and rude to other people that are in the audience and bringing up stuff that hadn't even been done. So my thing is, you need to regroup. That's my feelings. Also, Mr. Kuby, he also told things and then twisted it around and said something different. Like the people next door didn't know about this. And actually, the speedings were here. So they had to know something for them to be here. So that's my complaint. I hope y'all take it into consideration to do some regrouping. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Chapman, do you want us to read your thing?
He sent a
Your
comment in
present.
chat.
He said, yeah, he said that it, in the chat, he said the quorum is based on filled seats. They do have a quorum.
And then he has something that he sent that he wanted me to read.
Who is this?
Mayor
Mayor
Chapman,
Chapman.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Nicole.
The monitor's in the way.
Go ahead, Nicole, on it.
He sent a chat that said that we had a quorum. So just, he wanted everyone to know that he sent a chat. So he also sent in something today because he would be here, but he is not feeling well and is battling a cold and doesn't want to get other people sick. I have placed this with Stephanie to put in the materials. He also has left something, I think, for you guys to read as well, based on the meeting.
There was only 2 copies of that, so they don't have a copy of his.
Right, but there is something
have the
else
other.
that he
Yeah.
left, yeah. This is just a letter that he wanted me to read. So it says, good evening, Planning Commission. First, I wanted to thank you all for your time and hard work. I wanted to join you this evening, but I am battling a cold and do not want to get others sick. We have a lot of work ahead of us, work which will help our town immeasurably moving forward. We have many projects that will require open discussion and collaboration between all parts of our town's government. It is imperative that we set aside personal strife and remember that what we are working for today will help create a better tomorrow. The Planning Commission is its own body advisory to council, and I try not to get involved in the process by which this commission comes to its advice. My intention in January was to not appoint a liaison, as we have 2 members of staff at each meeting and did not feel that a council liaison allowed for a truly impartial recommendation. After the last meeting, I decided to take on the role of liaison myself. The work of this council is imperative to the success of the town. The council must be able to hear the recommendations of this commission and understand that they have been reached diplomatically after weighing all of their options without bias and denigration. As of tonight, we are down 2 members of the commission. Let's work together to build our team back to full capacity and get the ball rolling on the work of the town. I know each and every one of you is up to the task. I know that each of you has a passion for this town and its success. The council needs each of you. Again, I value each of your contributions to the town, to the Planning Commission, and to our forward momentum, and thank you for your professionalism and decorum as representatives of the town of Mineral. Ron Chapman, Mayor of Town of Mineral.
Thank you. Could we have a copy of that for our records?
Yeah.
Get it, Tom. Can you get it to me? Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
I do on this subject. I'm in agreement with the mayor. It was flared every time I have come to a meeting. Of course, I don't go to the council meetings for this reason. I've never seen this, even as a town council person myself. You can have disagreements, but when the chairman says that's enough, it should be enough. And both were attacked. Personal things were said that shouldn't have been said. Just like you guys got really loud a few minutes ago because this gentleman was sitting here, and I just don't understand how you can come in here as a guest and do what you do. So you want civility here? I'm ready for it. But I was getting ready to walk out because I looked at y'all and was shocked and appalled at how you were attacking this man just for sitting in that chair. So, you know, who wants to come to these meetings, or who wants to do anything to be involved in the town if they see this ugliness that's going on? And that's all I've got to say about it.
Thank you. Let's move on to approval of minutes. Section F from the January meeting. You had a chance to look at.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I ask that the minutes be delayed until after the action on being able to use the Zoom participation takes place? because I do have a comment related to the minutes, and I'm gathering that I'm not a participant and a voter, but I was at that meeting. So I think that my comments or discussion should also be included, and I should be able to vote on it. So I would just ask that you move that back until after the action to allow for participation by members of the planning commission is acted upon.
I think that we can do that.
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Since we have already approved the agenda as it stands, does that require a vote to change the order?
Do we have a motion? We just did. Do we have a second?
And a second?
Then we vote to amend it, and we will move approval of minutes till right before the reports. Old business. Discussion of the capital improvements plan.
So there has been a change in what is taking place going forward. There's not a capital improvements plan at this time. We do know that we have the old school property that we're closing on, but our water system has been moved to a priority from our health department permits to wells, the source water we have, to the water we're purchasing from Louisa County. So at this time, everything is at a halt until we can get that underway. So there's no discussion on capital improvements plan. We cannot do anything for probably a year until that's taken care of.
What was our purpose to address with the plan as it was? What were we planning to do?
There was just a discussion of kind of what the plan was going forward as to in the town. We have two buildings, we have a park, we have the old school property once it closes, and what our plans were to move forward in improving this. Right now, in my opinion, everything is at a halt. I've been having to focus on the water, so I have not put together a 5-10-year plan for capital improvements, as this has taken a priority and a lot of my time.
Understand. Would there be anything negative about us taking time to go through and discuss the plan, knowing that it'll be held off?
No, we can do it next time. I had to get 2 grant applications out. And those were done I knew about them probably in 1 month, and in 2 weeks, we had to get them filled out and sent in.
And this is for the water.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to update us on what the problem with the water is?
The problem with the water is that our permits currently state that we are supposed to use Louisa County Water Authority as a supplement and not as 100% provide us with water, which means that we need to get our well number 4 and any other well, possibly one more, up and running if we can. And if not, look into drilling another well, because we do have to have source water right now, is what our permits state. So VDH is working with us to establish how to look into our wells and get that done and taken care of. And we are hiring a hydrogeologist to come and help us figure some of that out, as well as get quotes and estimates for that. First and foremost is to see what's wrong with our wells and what we need to do.
Is there a deadline given to us by VDH?
We have about 1.5 years to get this done. Yeah.
So the question is, we amend the agenda and put this discussion on hold. Capital improvement plan.
do you want to move it to the next month, and do you want me to put something together as a 5-10-year plan? And then, you know, the idea is for me to talk about,
Oh, thank you. I'm seeing spots.
to talk about, you know, what our capital improvements look like. What are they? What does it mean to us? What are we doing in the town? What do we need to take care of? That stuff. So, I mean, I can put something together, for a 5-10-year plan. You know,
We have a message from the mayor saying the planning commission can begin creating a CIP to recommend to council.
I have a suggestion for next time, Mr. Vice Chairman, maybe the previous copy of the capital improvements plan can be presented to the planning commission as a way to kind of jumping off point. We can start our planning that way, since we know that this water situation is going to be at least a year. That gives us time to look at that and start moving forward, looking at it month at a time.
Are you talking about the plan prior to this current one?
Correct.
I don't know if there is a
I don't-
plan
yeah.
prior to this.
There is. I might even have it.
I think that would be great, just especially for me.
I
being
will
new to
work
the
on
commission.
that if you will just do me a favor and email me and say, we want this. So a motion to move this back 1 month?
Motion made.
Yes,
We'll do that.
so we're gonna table it for now.
We're gonna table it for a month. On the idea of tabling, when is our next month meeting date?
Let's see. I can get the calendar up. It will be April 24th.
All right, then we have a presentation from JPC, which is the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. Ella O'Brien is here, and she can talk to us about an overlay district for Mineral Avenue and other things.
Yeah.
So,
Good evening, Mineral Planning Commissioners. I am Isabella O'Brien, a Regional Planner 2 with the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission. It's good to be back here again after I was last here to support the comprehensive plan update. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about the zoning tool, historic overlay districts, and discuss the potential for the Planning District Commission to support establishing one in your town through a zoning code update. As you know, Mineral is fortunate. I'm gonna let you finish it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mineral is fortunate to have a significant historic district already listed on the National Register of Historic Places and Virginia Landmarks Register. These designations recognize the unique architectural and cultural heritage that makes Mineral so special. The mining history contributes to the town's identity, character, and local economy, and can be better leveraged as an asset. Oh, I have to scroll. There we go. Okay. This is a map from the Virginia Cultural Resource Information System by the Virginia Department of Historic Resources, which has mapped Mineral's current National Historic District and then the individual architectural resources within that district. So with over 230 contributing resources within the currently designated historic district, there are many worth protecting. This designation is different from a historic overlay district. Listing an area as an historic district through the National Register is only an honorary designation, which has benefits in educating communities about their unique historic and cultural assets, but does not involve any regulation of property within said district. So landowners can alter and demolish buildings as they see fit, and landowners may be eligible for state and federal tax credits to restore historic structures. only locally designated historic overlay districts are subject to local zoning procedures and regulation. Most historic districts on the state and national registers do not have local historic zoning overlay district designation, but those that do are similar in makeup to the town of Mineral, as they are generally in cities and towns where the buildings are in close proximity and have a collective visual impact, like on a main street. Local examples of historic overlay districts include the town of Gordonsville, the town of Culpeper, the town of Leesburg, and multiple districts within the city of Charlottesville. Sorry. Okay. So connecting this back to the recently updated comprehensive plan, the importance of preserving Minerals historic resources is recognized clearly throughout that. Specifically, the plan identifies an action to, quote, work with the Mineral Historic Foundation to create a historic overlay district and define its borders. This action also aligns with other goals and objectives outlined in your comprehensive plan, such as revitalizing historic landmarks, encouraging property owners to invest in renovations and maintenance to preserve Minerals historic buildings, promoting infill of commercial businesses in the historic downtown, and even replacing streetlights with historic style options that provide a flag display and lighting for sidewalks. Historic districts are a key tool available to help the town not only achieve these specific objectives and actions, but also support the broader vision for Minerals' future. So this zoning tool doesn't replace existing zoning, but adds specificity to ensure any new construction, changes, or demolitions honor the area's historic charm. It's a way to shape development that respects and celebrates what makes this place so special. These districts are created through local zoning processes, which involves public input and planning commission and town council approval, with the direct goal of protecting historic sites and maintaining property values by setting safeguards to preserve the historic character of buildings as time goes on. Often, a local architectural review board is appointed to approve renovations within these zones to assess the appropriateness of building renovations and other alterations. So looking a little bit more at the details of an overlay district, while the specific regulations can be tailored to the unique needs of your community, historic overlay codes typically include elements like a purpose statement, which clearly lays out the objective of the overlay district, like creating a board of architectural review, establishing its powers and duties, establishing the district itself, and providing protection to the properties within said district. Applicability defines the extent or geographic extent to where the overlay zone will apply. It specifies the underlying zoning district that will be affected and clearly outlines the type of development that are subject to regulation. This provides clarity for property owners as well as developers. Most of this district would likely overlay the light commercial district, which encompasses Mineral Ave, and I'll have pictures for shortly. The procedural and approval requirements outline additional permitting or procedural steps required for projects within the overlay. It details permit submission requirements and clarifies the role of any review bodies or boards in the approval process. This ensures that projects are reviewed with the necessary expertise for historic preservation. So your board might consist of appointees from Minerals Historic Foundation, local officials, state historic preservation officers, and expertise even from the larger community. Something important to note here is that not all changes within this district are subject to review. So for example, interior features and improvements, exterior color, and routine maintenance may be exempt from requiring a permit. Proposed construction, reconstruction, alteration, or restoration of buildings or structures are examples of projects that may meet standards for review. Use lists or regulations are changes to the underlying zoning. So while the overlay primarily focuses on design, it can sometimes include specific adjustments to the permitted uses within the underlying zone to ensure compatibility with the historic character. And this would be carefully considered to support the overall vision for the district. Lastly, we have the overlay criteria, which is the substantive requirements of the code. So this would include things like specific architectural guidelines, parking requirements, and potentially outlining requirements for accessing any locally made available incentives for historic preservation. And this is really the heart of how historic preservation is protected. And these elements work together to create a framework that encourages preservation while still allowing for appropriate development and adaptation based on your town's goals. So this map illustrates the town's current zoning. This currently includes residential limited and general commercial and light commercial, and a planned unit development, which does not provide the protection needed to maintain historic character in the face of development pressures, which an overlay district could provide. Some of the benefits of implementing historic overlay districts are, maybe the most obvious is the protection of minerals' unique identity. Increased property values. Studies show that historic districts can lead to increased property values due to the desirability of living in a well-maintained, character-rich area. Economic development. Historic districts can attract tourism, foster local businesses, and create a sense of place, benefiting the whole community. And community pride. So preserving your history strengthens your identity and fosters a sense of pride and place in the town. Additionally, this protects against inappropriate development and deterioration while promoting sustainable development, because you're reusing and adapting the existing buildings, which is often more sustainable than new construction. And it is also important to acknowledge the potential considerations. So as we mentioned, overlay districts are not an alternative to the zoning ordinance, but an enhancement to it. So it's important to ensure that this still aligns with the existing zoning classifications or is made to. There are administrative costs that are associated with establishing, developing, and maintaining a historic overlay district, staff time for reviewing permits, things along these lines. And the regulations on property owners, there can be perceived limitations on what property owners can do with their buildings, although the goal is to find a balance between preservation and property rights through public engagement and code development. So because of these, it's crucial to engage the community in the discussion if the town does move forward with this, to ensure understanding and buy-in. So to help you further consider this, we've outlined a potential scope of work and a preliminary schedule, without knowing your budget constraints and the specifics of how the town would like to work through this process. Our proposed scope would span through summer into early fall, and it includes assessment and planning, which involves a more detailed survey of the extent of the overlay district, engaging with an appointed steering committee, and analyzing the existing conditions and data. The actual development of the draft overlay district regulations, where we would work closely with staff, elected officials, the public, and Historic Foundation to draft specific zoning language tailored to your needs, and hold facilitated work sessions with the Planning Commission and Town Council. Throughout all of these phases, community engagement is a crucial step that's woven throughout, which involves public information sessions and/or workshops, opportunities for feedback from businesses and residents, such as at the required public hearings to support code adoption. And finally, the adoption and implementation, where we would present our findings and proposed regulations to the Planning Commission, Town Council, and public for adoption, and support implementation by developing educational resources for the public, a checklist or standard operating procedure for use by residents and the staff and review board. Our preliminary schedule anticipates that the initial research would be completed by the end of May, draft regulations by mid-August, public hearings in August for the draft, and September for the final. And this is just a starting point, the budget that's provided, and we're eager to work with you and the community to further refine this process. In conclusion, exploring implementation of historic overlay districts is a good step towards fulfilling the vision and goals outlined in Minerals Comprehensive Plan and helps ensure the long-term preservation of minerals character. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Copy that to- There's nothing up there.
Yeah, I can't put all those words on the slides, but yes.
Yeah. I don't either.
I think my mouse went.
Say that again. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have no questions at this point.
I do have a question, in the involvement of the citizens in the process. How involved will they be? I know you said there'll be planning and there'll be some, outreach, but.
Yeah, that's something that is really up to discussion. I think more engagement looks like a community survey, having multiple information sessions, maybe a work session where they're helping to brainstorm what might actually be included in the design, what's important to the history of mineral. The public hearings are definitely required, but then, if it is more aligned with the town and the town's budget to have just the minimum of public engagement to meet requirements, we would probably recommend a steering committee that includes residents that probably live along the historic district, as well as business owners, people on planning commission, as well as town council. Maybe you appoint someone to that steering committee, the Mineral Historic Foundation, and then just doing public notice and public hearings. So there's a range.
Yeah, I appreciate the clarification, but there is most definitely an opportunity for more involvement. Because
Yes.
I'm leaning more in the opposite direction. I want more of the community
Well,
involved.
good. Yeah, that's where we like to,
Good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Please.
Thank you. Isabella, I'd like to thank you for the presentation that you have made and expressed to all the planning commission members that the TJPDC was very beneficial in my mind in the development of an updated current vision and comprehensive plan of how to enhance the town. And in order to do that, the overlay district, I believe, is crucial to being able to preserve particularly the commercial properties on Mineral and Louisa Avenue so that we can attract businesses, shops, restaurants, things that will bring the people to the town of Mineral, have a real downtown. And so I believe the purpose for tonight's meeting, as I saw it, and as I had talked with Isabella and Ruth there at the TJPDC, was to get it started, to give us an idea of how long it would take to do this with their insights and a ballpark cost for it. And with that, I don't think the council, the planning commission is there tonight to say yes or no, but I think it would be behoovant upon the planning commission to decide amongst themselves, and I certainly encourage it, that that we pass along to the town council that the TJPDC has done this effort before. They were aware when they prepared the comprehensive plan that a overlay district was a component, and they had assured us that they would help us with that at some point in time. And I would encourage us to take action tonight to just recommend the proposal, not the budget per se. The budget can probably be worked on and tweaked, and maybe it looks rather large for the size of our town. But I believe that that could be tweaked, and but that's not a decision of the planning commission anyway. But I think we should vote to encourage that the framework has been created, a design and a plan has been laid out, and that as a planning commission, that we could vote to support this proposal to be sent along to the town council for their further review, and hopefully approval in some form in the near future. And if I were able to vote, I'd make that in the way of a motion. But I would encourage you all to consider that. They are here at our request, and Isabella, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what you're looking for, is to see whether Mineral wants to proceed with this. And y'all have given us a skeleton framework of how that can best be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're here to support our local governments within our jurisdiction at the request, and we love to do this kind of work.
I certainly have questions that I have to think about and do some research as to whether or not what effect it will have and what are the possibilities for here on Main Street, where I don't think there's any infill. It looks empty when you drive through, but everybody's got big side yards, and so I
think you have to consider and think about what's happening in the town. The overlay district allows for the town to protect what could happen, which is if a building's torn down, how it's rebuilt, what goes there. If you have all of the development that's over here behind First Street, what does that First Street area look like if there's any type of construction to go on? There are areas in the town on these two roads that lots of things can happen. And if something isn't put in place to protect those areas, anything can go up and for that. So I think that's what the purpose of this was, to say we have an option to instill some of this if the town has an appetite for it, so that it's to protect how it looks and what's going on.
So are we talking about basically just both sides of, I get this always wrong, Louisa Avenue, and then
Mineral Avenue and
that's one section of First Street that connects.
Can I
that's
click this?
Mineral Avenue and then First Street and Louisa Avenue.
Yeah, so, sorry to interrupt.
No, you go
I
ahead.
have to pull up my
Yep,
map
go ahead.
now.
Yeah, so in this map, okay. We had envisioned, based on the first map, which I'll go back to in a second, that it would be an overlay district covering most of light commercial, which is along Mineral Ave, and then a portion of Louisa Ave right here. And then going back to the historic map, you can see here that high density of the historic properties are right along Mineral Ave and here along Louisa.
We're talking over here where I can see.
Yeah.
Here.
Yep.
And
Down
here.
and then go over the train track.
So,
Down.
yes, down this section here.
And this is something as well that can definitely be further refined.
Because
Based on what the town's priorities are, what the Historic Foundation sees fit, as well as the public. But that's just kind of the general outline based on what was spoken about during the comprehensive plan update. And I'll just reiterate that the intention for a historic overlay district was identified in the comprehensive plan update. So it wasn't our idea. This came from your planning commission and town council to move forward.
I kind of assumed that it would need to take care of the path that people travel through town.
It will,
And so,
and then it bleeds out into the other section of that can be developed. Right, and so if those developments are more commercialized and not, take Gordonsville, for example. Main Street, Gordonsville, I know, but I mean, it's all I got. Main Street, Gordonsville, take downtown Charlottesville, any of it. You have one area always in a place that is a focal point, and then you have streets on either side that become the next focal point. You don't, if you have streets on the other side not included in that, then you have big buildings
Like
and
like a Hollywood set.
all of that. So
Or on the other side of it, like single-family detached homes that might not represent what's the character of the rest of the main
I'm
street.
sorry, I missed something you said.
Well, just like demolishing your historic buildings and then having, brand new, maybe smaller homes or single-family homes pop up in that area that might be inconsistent with the history and the feel of what the intention is for the main street and historic downtown center, if that makes sense. So it's a way
So
to,
it has to blend.
yeah, it creates those design regulations like murals, lighting, the signage, things like that to kind of make it consistent with the history, to preserve that.
To combat things like what are happening right now in the city of Roanoke, for example.
Exactly.
Okay.
it puts conditions on the area.
I'm just
It doesn't
concerned about the
change,
size of it.
it doesn't change the zoning district. It just says that within that zoning district, because this overlay is there, you have to conform to what that overlay means. And these are the conditions with that overlay.
I think this is worth exploring, and I think it's worth passing along to the town council.
I have another follow-up question though. So I'm taking a look at the suggested budget for the project and learning what we just learned about with the water system. Obviously, money is a cost, even though we don't necessarily make decisions, we don't make recommendations. I don't necessarily feel that it's appropriate to recommend that council drops another large chunk of change on something that when we have a major priority. What other options are available to help the citizens of the town, maybe in the short term, before we're able to re-engage with more of a long-term historic overlay? Are there like maybe various levels that we could look at, or?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a range of options. And if we have more details about what your budget constraints are, we can definitely work with you. But just in a conversation following, we wanted to mock up what might look like a separate budget at a lower end. And we removed some of the aspects to incorporate green infrastructure and sustainable design standards. Not that they'll be overlooked, but the specific focus on that maybe can come in a phase 2 or something along those lines. And then we cut back a little bit of the public engagement just because that is time consuming and involves preparation. But of course, still keeping the steering committee, the required public hearings and public notice, and including a website so people can go and find information that way. And just kind of as a quick look, we were able to get it below 25,000. And I think with more conversations, there's definitely room for flexibility, and we want to work with y'all to make it work for you. So, yeah.
And some of these tasks that, because the costs here are all back to TJ, we could in-house some stuff, or we could work.
And something that brings up another point. So, something that the town of Louisa is currently doing is they're working with Louisa County staff to update their zoning code without cost. And there might be a way to work with Louisa County staff, maybe in tandem, to support the update of this process. And just wanted to make sure you all were aware of that, and we can help to make that connection if that would be helpful as well.
Could you clarify what you mean by updating the town of Louisa's codes, you said?
So they're working with the community development department, the zoning department, to help them update their zoning codes in town.
Oh, okay, so it's just
It's just the county's way of kind of helping the town move forward with what they need.
okay.
Yeah. And so we've reached out to them a couple of times and got assistance on some stuff.
Oh, okay. So that could be something that we could use as kind of a placeholder if we notice There are some things I know it's been brought up at previous council meetings, the derelict homes and other properties, things like that. So I think that would be a good way to start if anyone is asking for my opinion on maybe doing that as a recommendation to council, saying, hey, this is a great option, but there are others that we would like to explore and some things that we can start in the meantime. So that way it's not such a drain on the budget as well as the resources of the town staff.
Mr. Chairman, can I add to the conversation?
Please.
Thank you. As I was saying, the whole idea that had in talking with the TJPDC was that the intention was to ask them to come back at a later time and to be able to pursue the zoning thing, but the overlay district. And it would have been nice if it could have been done sooner, but they had some issues with their manpower to be able to dedicate towards doing it. They're prepared to do it now. And what I'm encouraging you is that I don't think the planning commission at this point needs to be determining the way to do it. It's just a matter of if there isn't any money to do it, they can't start. And we don't control the purse. The town council controls the purse. So what my suggestion is, and again, if I was able to make a motion, I would make the motion, is that we just make a motion, a simple motion, saying that the planning commission is supportive of the Thomas Jefferson Planning District to assist us with the development of this overlay district, which was recommended in the comprehensive plan, and that the town council take a look at it as far as the funding that will be required on it. We want to be included. So it ultimately, if the town council says, yeah, we agree, because they already have said that they agree with the comprehensive plan, then it should come back to us, and all the questions and all the input that we want to make on it, we should be able to do that. We don't need to work out the details now, but the longer we put off sending it to the town council is just delaying the process of something beginning. I did hear Isabella say that they may be able to work with the county, and that's good to hear. If the county is helping Louisa, maybe they can help us too. But I think I've said all along since I got on the planning commission that I believe the planning commission needs to be an inclusive group that works with the town council, works with the planning district, works with the businesses of the town and in the area. We need to be involved, not isolated. So I encourage the planning district to be included with us and with the county and with Louisa in whatever way works best, because they actually go to Richmond on behalf of the town of Mineral, town of Louisa, and the county, as well as 5 or 6 other counties. They've got to know how to do it. If the town people could have done it, they could have started on it and begun it many years ago. It's beyond our abilities to do it ourselves. We need guidance. So if y'all want to table this until I'm able to vote, I'll make a motion. If y'all make a motion, I hope that it will be just to send along a supportive idea that this process is a good one for the council to consider, and they need to work out the budget and then send it back to us to assist in the development of this with them.
Make a motion to start the procedures that we need to start on for the town.
To move forward. Well, I'm gonna let you say it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
You didn't expect that. I'll make a motion.
I do not think we have enough information to be able to offer a best suggestion. I think that the historic overlay is fantastic. I want to know a little bit more information about what the county of Louisa is doing to help the town and other options that we might have. And while I completely understand Mr. Hubie's intention to try to make sure that we're moving forward with the comprehensive plan, the truth of the matter is that money is an object, and we on the Planning Commission are aware of the current town's budget because it is public information. And we're also aware of massive water issues. And let's be honest, if we don't have water, there is no town. So there is no historic overlay.
Yeah, but we don't have to start with everything right now. We're just beginning to
Right.
plan that out.
No.
It's taken a year and a half, Nicole said, for the water. And that gives us time to put everything in motion so we can go forward with it.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
What are we putting in motion? We haven't discussed all of the
Our
different
brains
options.
working on it.
Well, I think that's part of what we need to do is we hear a little bit more information.
Yeah,
So that way we have a better idea.
well, when Ed comes back, it'll be better anyway, then all of us are here together. But we can be thinking about it and come to the next meeting, and then we can start thinking, okay, this is my idea, and your idea, and move forward. If that's what we intend to do.
So your motion was to
Start, to begin.
pass this along to the town council.
Oh, well, we got to get together with Ed too. I mean, he is the chairman.
Okay,
So, yeah, but we gotta prepare for that. Am I saying this correctly? We have to prepare for that to even have it
So,
before the town
sounds-
council?
it sounds like
No,
you're saying maybe table this until Ed's
we
back.
can do that.
So would you like to withdraw your motion and state it in terms of we table this until?
It comes back, yes, we can do that. There's so many things that need to be done in this venture.
Stephanie would love it if we had a nice
clean motion.
clean motion.
So your motion is what you're trying to say is that you want to hold off until everybody's together and talk about exactly what this process is? Or your motion is that you want to move it to council for them to vote on whether we do the overlay district or not? That they handle it
Or facilitate.
Ed,
or facilitate?
Yes,
did
you're
you
asking me?
hear Nicole?
Yes, I am. I think that she's trying to clarify your motion. If I heard Nicole say at the end of her comments that we want to pass it along to the council so they can take charge of it, no, that is not the case. I want to encourage that we send it to the town council so they know that the planning commission, who's obligated to prepare a comprehensive plan, like it's obligated to prepare a capital improvements plan, and it's supposed to do this overlay district, we need help. And that we would like them to assist with it, but it's the council's decision on the budget. So just send to the council saying we want the process to begin, and you all need to authorize it. It's,
Yeah. You have
So
to.
we need to authorize
We
it.
have to put it all together to do that.
So she put it all together, and what he's saying is, your motion, if you want the council to say, yes, we are okay with Thomas Jefferson Planning District facilitating this and their expense is X, and we approve that, but you have to motion it to council for them to do that.
To move it out of here, then the town council can say yes, no.
Yes, we approve the funds for them to facilitate with planning commission.
Well, that's what
Yes.
I thought I said to plan the stuff to take it to the council.
So listen to this and see if this is what,
Or I can say back off on this and wait till Ed comes.
okay, what do you want to do? Or do you?
Let's wait, because he's not gonna be able to vote yet anyway. So let's just wait.
So you want to table this till next month? We're going to table this.
It's a vote.
Second that motion.
Thank you.
Second that motion, you're,
I asked what the result of that was. I'm
It was consensus to table until next month.
we're going to table this until we have as many of us in the same room or party to the conversation, being able to vote and discuss. So we're going to table this for 1 month.
That sounds fine. Could I suggest that you all consider letting Isabella talk with the county and with the town just to exploratorily find out how they could conglomerate, hard time getting that word out, how they can, talk together and work together so that when the council is to look at it, whenever the planning commission wants to take that action, that we have an idea of whether we could save money by working together, because we do need to work with Louisa County. We do need to work with the town of Louisa. So if they can help prompt that to happen, that would be beneficial. So why don't we use the next 30 days to let her do some talking and can report back to us about that?
I think it would be unfair to
Yeah.
send somebody off to do something that we haven't agreed to yet. So I would say that would probably not be a good idea. And it puts her in an odd position of saying they haven't decided yet, but if they decide, so I would recommend that we not do that.
I agree.
May I make a comment, Jim? Personally, I don't think you should talk about Elizabeth like she's not in the room.
Her name's Isabella.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Not in the room.
it's fine.
I,
No offense taken.
I'm making eye contact with her, and so we're looking at each other, and I'm hoping that's working. I think I'm saying, are we good?
Oh, you gotta go in your face too.
I got what?
Nothing, I'll tell you later.
So, we voted to table this till next month.
Yes, we're
All
going to
right,
that.
let's move back to the agenda.
Isabella.
Isabella, thank you. I look forward to talking with you more about this.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing your feedback, and feel free to send any comments that you have on what was presented tonight or the budget in the meantime,
Okay,
while y'all are
and
thinking
card
through
for
this.
me?
Yeah, I'll give one to you.
Next on our agenda is new business, virtual attendance policy.
Okay, if you don't mind, I can touch on this a bit.
Yes, please.
Okay, so under FOIA, and I pulled it up here, and I know you probably cannot see that from here, but the code section 2.2-3708.3 with the parentheses B, we need to have a virtual attendance policy for anybody to be able to attend virtually. And this will be something that you guys will need to vote on yearly. So I would ask just next year, we put it in our bylaws when that time comes. Are you okay?
I will say this now, all makes sense.
And the policy was for, I put the effective date from last meeting and forgot to change that, so that would be kind of my one edit. I would also like to say that this policy is pretty much the exact same as what it was presented for council's policy, so reviewed by the attorney, just changed to planning commission.
Okay. We're just,
So you would have to vote to approve to put this policy in.
And that would allow the attendee to be able to vote all that,
Yep,
just like you do in Rome.
Right.
so on page 26,
yes.
fix the number of times remote participation for personal matters to be used for the calendar year. Wait, I should rephrase, I apologize. Never mind.
Okay, there are things like, medical that get kind of unlimited virtual policies and other things that will affect like the number. So if you're a caregiver for somebody with medical issues or things like that, they get unlimited. But if it's just, hey, I'm out of town, I want to say it's a quarter, no more than a quarter of the attendance amount of meetings you have that they can attend virtually.
How many?
Let me double check it. I want to say it's,
I don't remember what it
It
says.
says members may participate 3 times,
Yep.
participate 3 times per year.
So a quarter.
Personal matters.
page 26.
Says fix the number of times.
The
On
only,
the bottom.
the only question I have is being out of the state. Because they're, doctors do it, you can't be out of the state. I don't know what the law is in Virginia for that specific or town council or.
No, that's, no, the virtual attendance, no, it's like,
The physicians are not licensed, so the licensing for doctors and things like that is like prostate ones. There's different state boards that cover that.
And I'm going to assume since the town council approved it,
yeah, it's been reviewed by the attorney, verified and vetted.
I see no problems with this.
So what is the actual piece of?
It's that second
Script.
page. The page 26, the one you're looking at, remote participation policy.
So this is the specific language.
Yes.
Well, it's the whole policy, right? So you have a whole,
It's the whole policy, it's just there's language on the back.
yeah, the
that says
first,
remote.
yeah, the first page is just kind of the overview.
Background, and then here's the rules we got to follow.
Right. Mhm.
With it. Because there were times in COVID that happened several times.
There's no limit on how many people would participate virtually. It's only a limit on how many times you can.
Right.
Right.
For personal reasons. And once we've adopted this, it'll become part of our more business every year.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to.
A second.
So, would you like to vote for us, please?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Is that what you needed?
It is, thank you.
Okay. New business number 2. Revisit light commercial zoning classification permitted uses.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
that was my request to add that to the agenda for the meeting, for the planning commission to revisit the light commercial zoning classification permitted uses. I requested a copy of what was adopted that came through the planning commission and the town council that had to do with each of the 5 different districts, the 2 residential, the 2 commercial, and the PUD. And the only thing that I really noticed that surprised me was that in the light commercial zoning classification, what apparently was approved and signed off on says that now single-family dwellings are a permitted use in light commercial. The old zoning ordinance of the town did not say single-family homes are permitted by right. It had some wishy-washy language about anything in light residential or general residential is also allowed in the commercial, and therefore, in my mind, that was a carry on that, okay, so if the single family dwellings and all are permitted in residential and anything in residential is allowed in commercial, that was why there was an effort by the planning commission to go in and review all 5 of those districts quickly to try to address what I thought were some loopholes and maybe some situations that needed to be brought into line to have more control over what happens in the town. I never thought that residential, that the houses would be added to light commercial as a permitted use. I think that will lead to the same thing happening as what already occurred with the 14 lots down at the end of the street, and with a large number of houses being added to lots along Mineral Avenue and Louisa Avenue and First Street, unless the overlay district and somehow prevents that from happening. Now, to clarify, there are houses, mine is one, and most of the people on, many of the people on council are in the Mineral Louisa Avenue area where it's zoned light commercial. Mine happens to be general commercial. Most of the others are light commercial. But I thought that the purpose of the planning commission as submitted to the town council was to say that we wanted businesses and restaurants and shopping and things like that to come into our downtown area, and this was it. So we wanted commercial. So I would have thought that if somebody wanted to put another house in the areas along Mineral and Louisa that are light commercial or general commercial, at the very least, they should have got a conditional use permit. Or in my humble opinion, I'm afraid that all of these lots now only being 5,000 square foot, where 4 years ago they used to be 15,000. If the town doesn't change the 5,000 back to 15,000 and allows this, you're going to have 5,000 foot lots all through where you want to have a downtown area and you want to convince some commercial to come, but it won't be available. As Mr. Snyder commented to me at one of our last planning commission meetings, he said, there's not that much commercial there. It's just vacant lots, but the vacant lots are where commercial should come. Restaurants, maybe build a commercial on the lower level and a rental or a condo or something above it, like is done in Gordonsville and Spotsylvania and other places and all. That's what I think we discussed. So I think that there was an error made somehow in listing single family homes in light commercial is by right. That's why I added here for consideration. And I think that in itself is all the more reason why we need to be addressing the overlay district. There won't be anything to protect in the way of bringing the public to the town of Mineral for culture or for eating or socializing or entertaining. It'll just be houses, and they won't be old houses or anything historical. That's why it's on the agenda for discussion.
I have a question for our zoning administrator. And our town manager. Are there empty lots on Main Street? Beyond
Main Street, Mineral Avenue, and Louisa Avenue.
I'm sorry, I will always call it Main Street until somebody gives me some electric shock therapy. Just the way it's going to be, and I apologize. In this main corridor, is there an abundance of empty spots?
No.
The last business that moved in was Dollar General.
Mm-hmm.
There's and if you look at the age of these houses, I think historically here in the town of Mineral, we had these big houses on Main Street. So I'm going to say that this isn't a problem that needs to be fixed right now. Or as I've said to you at one point, if there's a big fire and everything burns down, then they'll have a problem, but I don't see that happening. You don't have an issue of people taking up building spaces, I mean, business spaces, because there aren't any.
Okay, but shouldn't it be that the lots that are empty, shouldn't it be light commercial or general commercial, whatever it is? But not have the option of having a home built there? Is that what you're talking about, Ed?
Absolutely.
I'm in agreement with him, it'll be filled up with homes.
But there's no lots available. There's some empty space beside the Hall's Body Shop, but that's their land. I don't know of any available lots. And Ed, just to go back, the zoning, the light commercial, and I need to pull the video from the council meeting, but the light commercial zoning that was done and sent to planning commission doesn't have single family homes, which I think when we did it with the council, they put it in there because there are homes that are currently in light commercial, and those would be considered non-conforming structures, which would not allow them to have anything done on their property when they're considered a non-conforming structure. So that's why that was there, because what happens is even if a home is there and they want to add a pergola or a deck or something, because they are non-conforming, it would be the duty of the town manager or zoning administrator to say, I would have to look at it and maybe take it to council because now it's considered a non-conforming structure. So I think that's why it was added. I'm not really sure. I have to go back and look at the notes for council, but I'm looking at the May 2024 draft that I did, and that didn't have single family homes, which means that it was put in because of that reason. I remember having that conversation at the time because we were talking about all the houses that are on in the light commercial district would then make them non-conforming, and that would cause a problem if someone did want to add any type of anything, whether it was just a grilling station pavilion or whether it was a deck or whatever. It would cause issues for them. So I can go back and look, but that's what that's for.
So currently, the regulation says all purposes permitted in the aforementioned residential districts providing that multifamily dwellings and apartments must be authorized by conditional use permit into this chapter. Banks, office buildings, greenhouses, nurseries, a whole list of things that will never fit.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
when you have a chance, I'd like to respond.
please do.
Okay, I refer you to Town Code Article 7, non-conforming uses. It's 425-50, continuation and extension. And it says, if at the time of enactment or amendment of this chapter, any lot, building, or structure is being used in a manner or for a purpose which does not conform to the provisions of this chapter and which is not prohibited by some other ordinance, such manner or use or purpose may be continued. And any renewal or change of title or possession or right to possession or lease of any such lot, building, or structure shall not be construed to prevent the continued non-conforming use of such lot, building, or structure as in here provided. And there's A, B, and C under that too. So yes, all the houses and things are non-conforming, but they existed long before a zoning ordinance was developed in the 1970s. And it was already written in the town code to allow for them to stay and not even to be prohibited or limited from being able to be sold to other people and continue it, or to, make changes and adjustments to it. that is thoroughly covered in the existing code. And unless somebody brings up to change our code, it's not an issue, in my opinion. And I don't mean to be, necessarily disagreeing with the zoning ordinance administrator, but I refer you to A, B, and C and all about non-conforming uses. And it does not say that because a house is there, that it's at a disadvantage if something happens, or if you want to add a deck to it or any of those types of things.
I'm gonna.
Can I add, please, if you're reviewing an online code, that is something we are in the process of updating.
Can I see
So if
that?
you need a hard
Yes, I
copy.
need to read this. I had this in front of me.
So as a zoning administrator, I'm gonna talk about this for a
That's-
second.
Yes, please.
It does not state, and I don't see and did not read where it says that you can add, when you have a non-conforming structure, in all of my experience and where I've worked and what I've dealt with, when you have a non-conforming structure, it becomes a non-conforming structure, and therefore, when you try to add or do something else to it, it is most likely not available for you to do. It becomes a non-conforming structure for that parcel, which means it is as it is, which is the problem that the 14 houses on Mineral Avenue will have, because right now they are non-conforming, which means they will not be able to build a shed, deck, or anything on them unless it was already done, which is what he did do before that. But right now they're non-conforming, which means if they present something to me to add something, I would not be able to approve that unless I go to council to let them know what's going on. I would not approve something that's non-conforming. I would take it to council to say, we have this non-conforming issue. This is what I'm looking at. I don't see a problem, but as council and as the people that are in charge of the town, what do you think?
And it's only non-conforming because of the zoning change.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I would only say that I'm going by the hard copy that I had. And I'm also had looked at what was online, but as we all know, what's online is not kept up to date. Needs to be, but it's not.
We're
But
working on it.
conforming has been addressed, and if it hasn't been voted on and acted upon by the planning commission and council to change the non-conforming thing, I can't look at it. I don't know what it says, but if that got changed, I know it wasn't prompted by the planning commission. The planning commission wasn't a part of changing it. Is that legal?
Nothing has gotten changed on the non-conforming, The only thing that has been changed is what you're speaking about, which is the light commercial. And that got changed because it went to council and they made a decision. I am reading you the version and read the version that I had at planning commission, and then it went to council and it was brought up about the houses being considered non-conforming and what that means in the zoning world. I know what that means in the zoning world. And so I let them know, and this is where we are.
Okay.
That if you want to send it back to council, that's fine.
If I've said what I wanted to bring to attention, because I know I as a planning commission member wasn't aware of it, and council may have changed it, but I do want to caution the planning commission and the council and the public to know that if you allow, in my opinion, that houses be by right in the light commercial district, that is what's giving the green light to developers to come in here and buy all that up and sell it cheap, or not cheap, buy it cheap, and then make a big profit on it. And it won't be the commercial things. It will be bought up. And the zoning administrator says there are no vacant lots. There are plenty of vacant land that are up and down Mineral and Louisa Avenue. It may not be for sale, but we're not supposed to just look at what's for sale. We're supposed to look at the existing conditions. And if we want some businesses to come into town and it's all bought up and built for houses, or somebody tears down the Alzheimer's building that's right there beside town hall, it's in general commercial, and they tear it down, with this, I assume that they'll be able to build a house there if they want to do that.
That's general commercial. That's not light commercial.
So again, I don't know if that applies there or not, but I
Does
know
not.
from 4th Street to the other end of town, there's development already going with houses being built. And I think that it's contrary to your comprehensive plan. So my input that people need to be aware of it.
So Ed, what you're asking is that we consider a recommended change to the current code to remove any.
I'm just surfacing the issue that I have, and I'm not speaking for the planning commission as chairman. I'm speaking right now as an individual. I am on the planning commission. So I'm just saying it kind of surprised me to see that. It's not what I had envisioned, and I was a part of the development of what went forward. But if the council changed it, so be it. We do what the council says. But I'm just pointing out, and I think council should be aware of it, that if you allow houses, then any of those vacant lots, and that's, in my opinion, how and why those 14 lots got developed and all those houses are so close, because it's 5,000 square foot lots. It's cheaper land in the town of Mineral, and they can do it in the town. They can't build on those small lots out in the county. So that's why the town's property is being sold out, bought up, and you're not going to get any commercial development. The only place you have commercial development zone is on Mineral Avenue and Louisa Avenue, and that little tiny piece maybe where the fire department is.
Okay, I read parts that I said I needed to read, and I come to the decision. I hate lawyers still. I'm going to go back to the planning.
So,
I'm going back to Nicole and see what she has to say here.
yeah, so again, this was taken to the council. Any changes that were made were based upon council decision. If the planning commission would like for me to go back to council and discuss some of this, or you would like for me to come to planning commission and present an update to this zoning ordinance again, I will do that. We will have to have a public hearing for that. I recommend that the change may be a little more detailed in the fact that it preserves the right of the houses that are currently in light commercial, be able to make adjustments on their property, because the whole point about non-conforming is that they can't make adjustments. And so I think that's where the direction was headed again, like I said before. So if that's what you all would like to do, I can do that. Council voted the way they voted and they added it back in. If you want to take it back and update that language again, you can, to preserve the lots. We can do that. We'd have to do that in a public hearing, and it would have to be met that way.
So Ed's pointed out a problem, and Nicole has pointed out why it was done that way. Is this something we need to talk with the council about, whether they want us to go back and look at this again? And again, if we do that, then it's going to go to Nicole to draft.
I'll draft it. I'll bring it back to planning commission. Planning commission will make whatever edits they want to the draft. And then if they choose to, they can recommend it to go to council to get looked at and voted on. Again, both have to have public hearings.
Would doing this make it clearer as to where everybody stands?
Yeah.
Then, can I make a motion? I'm the chair.
I don't know if you can make a motion.
I can answer that if you'd like.
Please.
It says in our bylaws that typically the chairman does not, but the chairman has the authority to, if he so chooses, because different from council, the chairman has a vote and they don't on council except if it's a tie.
So this is the motion. I think, I move that the planning commission, I hate the word direct, our zoning administrator to revise this so that we may look at it again to address the problems that have been discussed. And then we can look at it and decide if we want to take that to council. That's my motion. Is that good enough?
I'm just,
You-
well,
you got it?
I'm just looking and trying to make sure, because we would have to have a public hearing if you guys are gonna do a revision at your next. Right.
We would do a revision.
We wouldn't do, huh?
We would have to have a public hearing. We can do a
Yeah.
public hearing and all in the
And-
same day.
Yeah.
For zoning ordinance, you can do that.
We can do that. So,
You can do public hearing and
but
zoning update.
before we get to that part, we need to have
A work session?
an ordinance that we can look at and discuss, and then we can decide if it needs to go forward, then we'll work on. I'm gonna get it out here in a moment.
So you want to do it all separate? Okay,
So our next meeting is a work session on it, and then you guys have a public hearing recommending it up to council.
we'll review it, then we'll have a public
If
hearing.
we decide
So
to
the-
move forward,
Yeah, so then you'll schedule the public hearing.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what Ron was saying too. Okay.
yeah.
Last second.
You second. Wherever I said. It's fine.
And yes,
Yes. Mr. Judy, did you get that motion? Ed,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we made a motion to direct the zoning administrator to revise a copy of that chunk of code so that we can look at it next month. And at that point, we can decide if we want to move forward.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay?
I have a question, when someone pulls a permit to have it like an addition to something on like commercial, okay? Is there a notice of 30 days that's printed on poster board on the property to let everybody know that what's going on? Do we let the town know that something?
The town, if you're getting an addition or you're building a house or you're building it, the building department will not give you a permit until you have a zoning permit approval from the town. And that you get your building permit from the county building department.
Okay, so anything, that's, let's say, like, anything for the streets that aren't streets yet, but they're on land, or, if anything is going to change within the
Nope.
town limit, there's nothing posted on any property?
No,
or-
because the streets are already dedicated streets, right of ways that are already mapped out. And the only thing that our code says is that a person whose land is on an undeveloped street says that whoever that is needs to develop the road to get their street. Technically, I don't think we're allowed to do that. We can't stop a landowner from getting to their property. However, our ordinance states that they have to develop the road to get to their property. And our ordinance also states that VDOT is in charge of how that road is developed. So they would have to get it permitted. And our ordinance says in order for our roads to be accepted by the town, they have to be inspected and accepted by VDOT.
Well, it just seems like, some people ask me about things, going on, and they, for some reason, they don't know, just like that property behind the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, that's a county property.
I know that, but we were left in the dark. Everybody was.
Yeah. And I immediately, when that happened, I sent a screenshot snippet from GIS to show all of the work that's being done in the county and said, before this can access any roads in the town, it needs to have us as discretionary looking at it. And we have to accept what's happening and if they can access through. I also sent it to VDOT and they were very aware and understand, and they have to give access approval because that and what they're developing is not public roads at this time. VDOT cannot touch it, but the town can say, we do not want any access through here. And they can work with VDOT to do that. It is a safety issue, in my opinion.
I'll have some other questions, but not right now. I gotta get it together.
It's difficult. There's roads that are being developed that have rights, and there's roads that aren't in the town that will eventually be developed and access through the town. And I'm working with Scott at VDOT to understand our access points and what we can and can't do.
Well, I just, it was like that where I used to live, and I didn't think it was personally right. Like the house that we bought down there, I knew that it was commercial, but the way they worded it in the ordinances, nobody had to know about it. And I don't think that's right. I think some type of instrument needs to be printed, and so they can put it on a tree in front of that property and let everybody know that something is changing.
They don't have to do that.
Is that something that's our practice? Is that something that a practice that we could change? Is it worth changing?
I mean, they don't have to come and get approval to develop a road.
Well, not
From us.
anything.
For any zoning activity going on?
Anything.
Well, technically, putting up a doghouse in your backyard is building a structure which touches zoning, but we wouldn't expect
Well,
anybody to put up a sign for that.
I mean-
No, but usually, I mean, that's how you generate revenue too in the town, is permitting.
Well, they get permits, but we have to be careful, because what the county does do and what counties do with larger developments is they have a project list, active project lists on their website that says whatever the developments are going on. This is not an active development. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying that it's an eyesore, it's there. So I'm going to use it as an example. It's not an active development. There's nothing on the site that talks about it being a development. VDOT wasn't aware of it. There's no site plan, is my understanding. So we don't have anything. What I got told was they were logging the property. It's very obvious they're clearing it for a reason. But right now there's no site plan. And so when they do have that, it'll be on Louisa County's website.
Yeah, but some people don't go to the website, they want to see their neighborhood when there's gonna be a change and.
The other thing they're supposed to do is once they do get approval of their site plan or whatever, they have to post it out. So normally a site that's being developed will post a piece of plywood or whatever and have all of their papers and documents out there. The houses have permits that are posted. We had posted a permit for what we were doing. So they're supposed to post the permits.
So
Well, I'm talking about a notice for the general, but I'm not talking about permits. I'm talking about a notice, a 30-day notice. You give, they come in and apply for anything. It doesn't matter. And then, they are, if it's in the ordinance, then we give them a notice, 30-day notice, and anybody, it's gonna be presented at the next meeting.
That's for your public hearing. So anything that needs a public hearing. So a lot of times your site plans, preliminary plats, any type of development, like the 14, if done properly, would have been a public hearing and a notice. And it would have been stated that this was a public hearing on that. But no, for something as such as an addition or a house being built, no, there's no public notice. You're telling someone that if they want to build a home, they have to notify you 30 days, there has to be put out that this is what's happening, and there is no practice to do that. But there is practice to do it.
Changing zonings or anything.
Changing zonings is a public hearing, so there's a notice, and it's put on the website, Facebook, the sign, it's posted on the doors in here. It's put out there. That's what the notices are.
Mr. Chairman, could I add? I think that what I'm hearing, Ms. Newton say is that she's encouraging that the public be advised if there's a rezoning, at least in most places, Louisa County, Orange County, I would think most towns, and I have advocated this before, but unsuccessfully, if we want the public to know that something's going to be rezoned, they make a sign, somebody has to apply for the rezoning. And when they do that, you also charge them for the erection of a sign. They pay for a sign to be taken there, and it needs to go out there, whatever the code says, 30 days, 45 days, something like that. And then the people that are around it actually know it. It's not, the minimum requirement is to post it at 1 or 2 locations at town hall, and maybe to put it on the website. It used to be it had to be in the newspaper for a longer period of time than what it is right now, and people don't read the newspapers as much now, so that's not as effective. I agree with Mrs. Newton in saying that why doesn't the town take the transparency position of saying if somebody's applying for a rezoning of a piece of property, that a sign should be placed up on that property when planning commission or town council is going to hold a public hearing on it. That's what most places do. That's what I think that we should be doing in Mineral. But I would also take it further, like is being brought up, that that same thing could be done in my mind with undeveloped streets. We have a preponderance now of undeveloped streets being an issue. That is what the big issue was at our January meeting. It was undeveloped streets. And if somebody wants to use a undeveloped street, it's town owned. Town owns that. So I would think, and I would suggest for y'all to consider that if anybody, whether it's a property owner there or a business that's interested in buying, if they want to do something with the street, whether it's to close it or open it or get an easement to use it, that they should have to pay for a sign to be put up. And it should be council. It should not be an administrative person deciding. It should be council. And I would like to see it come through the planning commission first, but that's the option, whether it's council that decides. But those decisions on whether you open or close require a public hearing. But I don't understand how undeveloped streets, timber can be cut off and removed without it coming before council. That's not the way it's been done in the past. So public don't hear about it and people start objecting and complaining. That's what that meeting on the 16th was about. And that's what's also happening on 9th Street. So I'm throwing it on the table. The town council and the planning commission ought to consider that if something's going to happen to a road, take it that 14 lot situation. Why don't signs go up? They do everywhere else. Why is it Mineral doing it? They should have done it long ago.
So here's what I'm going to suggest.
Okay.
Did you have anything you wanted to comment?
Yep.
Okay, because I was going to throw this back in your lap to say, could you prepare a document that shows us what our current practice is? And
So I'm following our current practice, and the town does not own the undeveloped roads. The undeveloped roads are dedicated right-of-ways that were approved on the map of 1890. And what that means is that they are right-of-ways that are to be developed if they are along a property owner. And I have discussed this with the attorney. Let's just state that. They are, and our ordinance states that if a property owner wishes to develop on their land and there is an undeveloped right-of-way that's presented on this map that we have, that they are to develop the road according to VDOT standards. Council is only to approve and accept the road once it's developed after VDOT has approved that. There is nothing I cannot administer or inspect or do anything with a road. I cannot do that.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
have a question. If you want to close a road or close a right of way, that comes back to council.
Yes, because it's
Because
already,
it already exists.
yes.
Since it already exists, is available for use. And those lots need that access.
Correct.
And we don't want to build roads for everybody. Let them build roads, which is a reasonable.
They have to do it according to VDOT standards.
Yeah.
And so the job of the town, town manager, zoning administrator, is that if a road is being developed, that they and make sure that the road that's being touched is done according to VDOT standards. That means that I have talked to and had conversations with twice now, VDOT, and what is happening on this one particular road in Mineral. And they assure me that once everything is done, that VDOT will look at everything and it will be inspected. Right now, the town does not have any approved permits, and I'm getting copies of any roads in the town of Mineral that are permitted as public roads. I don't know which ones are public. I don't know which ones are private. There are multiple roads in the town of Mineral that are still considered private that VDOT does not maintain. So I am getting a copy from VDOT and we'll do my research. This was discussed a couple weeks ago, and note what roads are private, what roads are public. I just had a conversation, Ron and I did, with Dwayne Adams on the Board of Supervisors in discussing how to get some of the roads fixed, repaired, paved, corrected, etc. And so we'll work with Louisa and VDOT and the road plan. But it is my goal to address the situation in the town. It is my goal to make sure that any undeveloped roads and roads that are currently been so-called developed that are considered still private because they're not public, because they are not taken over by VDOT, because they were done incorrectly and the person that did them has not, or developer that did them has not been held accountable to take care of them. We have to decide how to fix that, because what that means for the town is that now that's the town's road, because there is no road maintenance agreement in place for the two houses on that road and any other land that could be developed. There's no road maintenance agreement for them that they signed or that went with the sale of their house that says they have to fix the road. So that is now the town's responsibility. That is not anyone else's responsibility. So it's very important that as things are happening in the town, that I stay on top of them and I make sure VDOT is aware. And that is what my job is and what I'm doing.
I appreciate that.
Mr.
Yes, Stephanie.
So this is a twofold. So one, respectfully, I would ask the chairman and commissioners if maybe I would suggest adding the signage, zoning signage as an agenda item for next month, because we've gotten a little off topic here from our agenda. So I would just respectfully suggest that, and then to stick to the agenda, and then also. Yeah. Also I wanted to say that the mayor has commented here that he has a comment to make on this as well. So I just want to ask if you want this to be an agenda item next month, the zoning signage, which I think is what spiraled all of this.
Do you wish to make I keep asking you, do you wish to make a motion to add this to our agenda?
I make a motion to add it to the agenda.
In a second.
I have a clarification question. Ms. Washington,
Yeah.
you earlier stated that based on our current zoning process, signs go up when there is a zoning change. Is that right?
So they're, I think, speaking of like yard signs that like the county does, they want us to put them out wherever the zoning change is happening. If there is a zoning ordinance change, that's what, in a public hearing, we can't really put signs up for that. So we have to post that, and we do public hearings. So it's in the paper. We post it on our electronic sign. We post it on the website. We post it on the doors here. It's out. It's on the doors when you come into the office. So those are what we were referring to. I think what Ms. Newton is referring to, or Commissioner Newton is referring to, is If someone is doing something, they would like to have a zoning sign put for that development or building in the yard so people know that there's something going on.
A conditional use permit.
And that's what she's asking for. And the county does that for developments that have public hearings, not for developments that do not have public hearings.
So we have a motion before us to add this to next month's agenda.
Yes.
We made a motion. You're not going to second that? Ed, do you second that?
He can't.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can.
Oh, he can. Oh, sorry. I forgot we approved the
Did you say
virtual.
yes?
I'm sorry, I didn't, am I now voting?
You can vote since it's been passed.
I forgot.
So the
Okay.
motion before us is that we add to next month's agenda,
Sure.
a discussion of
Sign.
signage for communication or zoning changes and
I
such.
agree. Yes.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
No.
No.
You're also a no?
No,
Okay.
I'll say yes.
And I say yes.
Okay. Let's move forward. Discussion of updating language for public comment.
Oh, Ron wanted to make.
This says your members of the public will have 3 minutes to comment on any matter while maintaining professional and courteous behavior. The Mineral Planning Commission will not respond during public comment, but the appropriate member of the commission or staff will address questions, concerns in a timely manner.
Can I add to this? So council had changed this as their public comment statement on their agenda. And when I had presented it to the chairman, he asked that I put it on here with a copy, or Chairman Phoebe, with a copy of just Robert's rules talking about public comment. So you would have that in here
So we would be updating our
if you vote for it.
to match what the council is already doing.
Right.
This is the bylaws update.
It's, I don't think it's much of a bylaws update as just an agenda, that little blurb on your agenda, the front of your agenda for public comment would change.
Understood.
Any discussion, knowing that it's getting late?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to adopt the town council's
So
ordinance? Okay, you moved?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Number 4, which you all know about, Commissioner Lauren Ball has resigned. And I will miss working with her. And hopefully someday in the future, she'll be able to come back and join us when the situation allows. Reports, zoning administrator.
I think typically they do a motion to accept her resignation.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why you said no.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Warren.
Ball. Okay.
Ball.
so seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes got moved.
Yes, okay. Ed, we are on minutes now.
Yes, sir.
You had some comments?
Yes, but, okay, well, yeah, my comments would be that the minutes were very detailed in many manners, but also I think it was missing in some other areas. And without going through specifics and discussing all of them, I think that there was a bias involved in these minutes preparation, and I will be voting no for the adoption of the minutes.
All right. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes? And do we have any other comment on the minutes?
I request a pause for minutes.
Sure.
I would like to make a comment on page 13, the fourth from the final line. I believe the statement listed there is not relevant to the minutes, and to be quite honest, actually does reflect the bias that Chairman Cupey brought up. I do think if that was removed, I think there would be
Which line are we at?
the fourth from the last line on page 13. While that did technically happen, there was a lot that happened at the meeting that didn't get documented specifically. I think there were a lot of other items that were brought up, and that did take up a large portion of the meeting. I think that specifically is not necessarily a pertinent piece of information.
So can you tell me which part you want removed?
Chairman Cupey advised Dr. Culbert that she does not get to speak as long as she would like to.
Okay.
Any other additions or corrections? Do I have a motion to accept the revised minutes?
I make a motion to accept the revised minutes as I stated.
I second. Shall we vote? No?
Yes.
Yes?
You're looking at me?
Yes?
Already said that.
No, I'm not sure what Brian's change was because I couldn't make it out. And I do appreciate it more than likely. I'm just not sure what it said, but yeah, my vote is no. I think some things more should have been in there, and lots of what was in there was unnecessary.
So we
So
do,
biased is my perspective on those minutes.
we do not approve the adoption or the approval of minutes.
I don't know what happens. Do you make I've never had minutes get rejected. Do you want to make revisions?
I'm
So
going
you
to.
pass,
move that
or-
we-
Can I say something?
Yes, speak please.
So Stephanie's process for minutes is that she reads and watches the whole video,
Yes,
recorded video, and she does the minutes per what is in the video. She has been asked to do different things. So when she first started, I was doing limited minutes because technically minutes are only the motion, the job, what's happening, who votes, what was approved. It was requested that minutes be detailed. So she went back and reviews the whole video and writes out exactly what is going on in the video, what is said, how it happened, what's happening. So I don't know what else she can change other than only doing business, voting, motion.
I
That's it.
agree, this is a transcript, it's not minutes.
This is what was requested in every minutes that she's ever done. It's always been the actual minutes from the video and what council had requested her do for their minutes. And so I know you were not here. I do appreciate that. But they did want the same minutes done the same way. She's copied and looked at historical minutes as they were done. So unless she has something to go off of, she does not know what to change.
Does Ed have a comment on that?
What I'm going to,
Just in order to help move along, not everything gets approved unanimously. And there are times when people disapprove of minutes. And this is one of those times that I do. And that's just the case. I'm not trying to point fingers at anyone. You didn't see me point them out. So the minutes are the minutes, but I don't agree with some aspects of it. And like I said, it's not a dictation and it's not a verbatim, but somebody has to pick and choose what's in, what's not. And, therefore, we're not always going to agree.
Ed, what I'm going to suggest is that you watch the meeting and take the minutes and what was changed, what the changes you want to make are. Because we either have to approve them.
You can not approve them and they can just be gone as not, in the thing as not approved.
Then, well,
Okay.
our vote was not in favor of approving them. Let's move on from this then.
Okay,
What did the vote end up being? Wasn't it 3?
2.
Oh,
2
2,
for,
2.
2 against.
Oh, okay.
So may I make a comment?
Ron,
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I would just comment that minutes are minutes, period. Whether they're approved or not, they are a historic document that will forever live in the history of this town. So it will show 2 in dissent, 2 in favor, but they are the minutes. But I will go one step further to say that minutes should reflect the business of the town, not the arguments and the strife. So we want to make sure we're looking at the important business that you guys handle at your meeting each month is reflected in those minutes and not the interpersonal, not the strife, not the drama. But minutes are minutes. They are historic documents. The moment they are typed, they are documents that are publicly available, whether it's a draft or approved. So if you have 2 dissent, 2 approve, that's how it stands. The minutes get filed. And unless your commission votes to amend and represent those minutes next month, the minutes are as they stand, whether it's unanimous or not.
So where I'm at with the minutes, because it has been a lot of drama over minutes in my life. I personally would like to take out all this dialogue, motion, vote, and then, anything else that is like really of not, every single discussion. Mr. Snyder said X, Y, and Z to Mr. Thaler, who responded this, because it is a transcript and it does take a long time to watch this. And I pulled the transcript from YouTube to copy the transcript. And I'm going to present it to council as well at our next meeting because I'm using a different software for minutes. So I would like to just move to a short minute, not 11 pages worth of minutes, to cover everything. That would be my preference. It would save me a lot of time.
we've gone back and forth with this. It's been a vote of, no, these are too short, no, these are too long. So the only way for her to capture everything that people have been wanting is through a transcript. So if Planning Commission does not want all of that in their minutes, that's great.
she can move back to her shortness of her minutes, which she can do and it not take up half her day.
Ms. Washington, yes, question for you on that.
Yeah.
For the minutes, so you get a copy of the transcript. That transcript is also retained as a matter of public record.
Well, it's, I don't quote unquote get a copy. It's on YouTube. Any of us can click show transcript in YouTube because that too, even though this is Zoom, this will download and I will post it to YouTube and YouTube will post a transcript with it. So
I do, just to clarify, I think Zoom has the ability to actually generate a transcript for you. We don't.
okay,
take
I haven't
credit
looked
for it,
into it.
But I do think that there are options that are available that would save you a lot of time. And what I would suggest is have that as a, you know, run it through one of those transcript softwares, or I believe, like I said, Zoom has it. And then our actual meeting minutes can be the motions. And then you don't have to spend so much time. And then anybody who wants that public information, you can go look at the transcript.
Or watch the video. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so there was conversation between Nicole and I, because I don't know if you guys know, but our last council meeting went late, almost till midnight. You know, it was, so the transcript for that was 119 pages. So I don't want to print that in attachment to the minutes because then that's going to make your agendas just super bulky.
Not to mention, I don't want to read them. But if I want to go back, I can.
Right.
I would support a discussion of this. And I will talk to you about whether, and I'll talk to Ed about whether we can add this to the agenda to revise our methods.
And Mr. Chairman, just to agree, I think that the mayor, Chapman, was very astute and to the point. You're exactly right. They may not always be unanimous, and they, in this case, are 2-2. I don't think you need to spend a whole lot more time on it. No fingers are being pointed, and move on.
Moving on, zoning has nothing today?
No.
Okay, because we heard a lot from you, talked a lot. Commissioner comments.
Yeah. Let me just do that because I got to get off, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any further comments. I appreciate your chairing the meeting tonight, and I appreciate everybody's effort. So, you know, I'm for transparency, and I think that that's what we're trying to do, and look forward to next meeting. And by the way, you didn't ask me why I was on Zoom, but I'm on Zoom for a medical situation in my family, and I am the caregiver. So that's my reason for being on Zoom tonight. All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to sign out.
All right.
Bye. Have a good evening, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Any comments from any of the other commissioners?
No.
Chairman,
Chairman?
if you would be willing to,
Vice Mayor, or Mayor, sorry.
Yes.
if you would be willing to yield the floor to me for just a moment. Again, I want to thank you guys. I was not feeling up to even speaking at the start of this meeting, but I seem to have gotten a second wind. So I left with each of you a packet of some thoughts I've had over the last couple of months that I've compiled. I'll be handing them out to our town council on the 14th so that we can discuss ways of eliminating the negativity across the town's government bodies, and that includes the planning commission. So these are not meant to point the finger at anybody. I've sent them to the staff and to you folks, and again, council will get them on the 14th. I did send a copy to Mr. Kuby, so that we're all kind of working from the same book and the same passion. I know that everybody involved, you don't volunteer to sit in that room on a Thursday night until 9 o'clock without having passion for the success of this town. And we have to remind ourselves that we can agree to disagree, but we need to do it with professionalism and decorum. So I put some thoughts together for you all to read, to be thinking about as you move forward. We need to appoint 2 empty seats to the planning commission, and we want them to come into the fold feeling like their voices will be heard and their opinions are important. And there's ways to do that. Body language at the dais, tone of voice at the dais are all extremely, extremely important. And right now, our town has a stigma for being aggressive, and we want to change that. So I implore you to take some time, read the thoughts that I have written down, reach out to me. I am available via email, cell phone, send a pigeon, knock on my door, so that we can sit and talk about ways to be more open in our dialogue and more understanding of different opinions and come together as a team, as the planning commission and the council and the staff all working together. Because what we can succeed with in working together is immeasurable in comparison to the things we will never achieve by closing our minds and not being open to other interpretations or other opinions of things. So just be thinking of that. I hope that my little blurb has inspired a little bit more togetherness and transparency across the board in the town of Mineral. And again, I thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, I have something.
Okay.
I'm just like, sorry. Before I forget, I think we need to make a motion to ask council to post a vacancy for Lauren.
Say that again.
Planning
I
commission,
make a
thank
motion
you.
for the planning commission to recommend to council that they post a vacancy for the open position on the planning commission.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I don't know if we have a quorum any longer. Since,
It's still 3 out of 5.
Well,
oh, well, I don't
He
know.
left the
Okay,
meeting, it still counts.
okay. If you guys say.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I'll leave it to the next chair.
I think
okay.
it's true, because he's an active member.
Okay, Ron
I'm
said,
gonna say that
It's
she
true.
resigned
Yeah.
from it, and she sent the letter to the planning commission, probably, and the town council.
she did not.
No, she didn't. Right. What are you talking? I'm trying to get around it.
Ron is saying that still 3 out of
Still 3 out
5
of
is the
5.
quorum, so,
We're good.
So we got a quorum?
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you for coming. Listen, I used to do this when there was no one in the town. And if you'd have seen the minutes, I don't know, it was more along the lines of, we did stuff and went home. And nobody fussed. Thank you for this, and we just need to make your work easier, so you make our work. Oh, but I was still talking.
Oh.
You make our work easier. You should make your work easier. You make me more knowledgeable when I have a question, and that makes my life easier. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you again.
Yes, thank you.
Now,
Chairman, I think we have a member of the audience asking if she can speak. It's up to you.
You can finish if you like.
I am done.
I just have one quick thing.
Yes.
I had asked the chairman to recuse himself several times at the last meeting, and I never received a response. Tonight, he brought up that topic again, so I'm guessing that's a no. But I do need to get a response back from the planning commission, so if you could maybe add that to the next agenda or address it in some way. It does need to be resolved. And I was hoping it would be done tonight, so I just was waiting till the end.
Let me talk to you about that, and then if it needs to go to the agenda, we can do that, but let me talk to you about that.
Great, that'd be good, thank you.
Thank you both, thank all three of you. Still knows I get those wrong.
Okay, motion to adjourn by anybody?
Motion, yes.
Motion seconded.
Second, good night.
I did a great job, Jim, it was a pleasant meeting.
A meeting adjourned.
Yeah, meeting adjourned. I can crawl under
Thank you,
the
Ron.
We know the meeting's adjourned, because I'm crawling under the table.